Yo, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to another video with your boy Idhan, and today we're going to be talking about Tommy Robinson's calmed down but he's still talking rubbish. But before we get into today's video, I just want to remind you to click subscribe on the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to click the like button if you enjoyed the video. I just want to big up everyone who's subscribed to my Patreon, and in particular I want to big up Mix Midget Mike, Nova Flip and Shahina. I haven't had a chance to add you to the list yet, so I just want to big you up personally for that, and not forgetting the rest of my Patreon subscribers who have been absolutely massive. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. So the other day I made a video called Tommy Robinson Attempts to Incite a Race War, and in that video Tommy Robinson went on a rant of epic proportion, but unfortunately most of the information he was spreading was absolutely false, and I decided to make a reaction video breaking down each of his incorrect points. So then a day later Tommy Robinson decides to rectify that and make another video in which he's calmed down and tries to pretend that he's all rational and that, but while doing so still manages to make several points which are provably false. So without further ado, let's get into Tommy Robinson's latest video and break it down. Check it out. Yeah.
Right. I lost my temper yesterday, didn't I?
Nah, Tommy, mate. What do you mean lost your temper? I think you were quite reasonable.
What about Little Mix? I was so angry because I believe the black community are being used. I believe that identity politics are being imported into our country from the United States.
Identity politics, eh? This is quite an ironic statement from a guy who started several nationalist groups which play on the fact that people should be proud of their British identity, meaning that this guy's benefited off identity politics since the day he came to public attention, bruv. Again here, Tommy's already started with his hypocrisy, which his followers would just take as a normal statement, but Tommy is clever enough to know that his followers are too thick to understand that what he's doing is manipulating his followers to feel like their identity politics are okay because they're not identity politics because Tommy Robinson says so, while the things that everyone else is doing when they're fighting against oppression that is very real are simply identity politics. And to all the Tommy Robinson followers who are watching this thinking, nah, Tommy's a good lad, mate, just know that man like Stephen Yaxley Lennon is playing you for absolute mugs.
I believe that the Democrat Party, the left in the United States, who play this very well, they play the divide very well. They want to keep the black community down. They want to keep them oppressed. They want all of that, okay? They want to keep them oppressed.
So by saying that, Tommy, my old mucker, you're admitting that black people are oppressed because you're saying they want to keep them oppressed. So therefore, you essentially agree that black lives do matter, bruv. You absolute mongoloid.
And I believe that that is now imported into the UK with what I've witnessed in the last week. And I've seen it coming for a couple of years now, okay? All funded, all organised. Now, the people who spray painted the war memorials were white, probably middle class, Antifa activists.
Any proof of that, Tommy, mate, or are you just going to randomly spout out things without verifying them first? Because I tell you what we have got proof of. You being a racist.
Taxi.
Taxi.
Little that drives car.
The murder of George Floyd was murder, okay? By a scumbag, by a rogue cop. 4 coppers, justice for George Floyd.
Which is why they're protesting.
Well, the officer who killed him is facing murder charges.
Because of the protest.
The 3 other officers are being charged. Out of the 4 officers that were there, 2 weren't white.
Come on, Tommy, mate. You know what institutional racism is, you disingenuous twat. If the institution is racist, it doesn't matter the race of the people carrying out the institution's will. And you know this, Tommy, bruv. You studied all this shit. Stop blagging your supporters, bruv.
I think this has been totally blown up to be a racist incident. And there's nothing evidence-wise that says it was racist. The police officer who knelt and murdered him knew him previously. They worked a door together. There was some ulterior motive or reason for his death, yeah?
See, this is why research is important. Yes, the murderer Derek Chauvin and the victim George Floyd did work in the same club, but Officer Chauvin worked the door and George Floyd worked inside. And people that have worked there have said that these two never met each other, bruv. Have you never worked anywhere before, Tommy, mate? I guess you haven't, because oftentimes you can work somewhere for years without meeting some of your colleagues because you work for different parts of the company, you absolute mug. Stop trying it, bruv.
And you can blame it on racism. But the same police force, there was a white female mother in her pajamas who rang the police, okay? The same police force. She rang the police come out, and a black Afro-American police officer shot her dead through her window. This is the same police force in the same year, in the same city. Now, none of you would have heard about this lady, okay? There was no riots over her. There were no protests over her.
Actually, Tommy, mate, her death made worldwide news. And because you haven't said her name, I will. Her name was Justine Damon. Guess what? It made the news all over the world for the reason that the officer was immediately charged with murder after doing this act. And then after that, Damon's family successfully sued the state for $20 million, bruv. And this all happened weeks after the officer who shot and killed Philando Castile, an innocent black man who was murdered by police officers in front of his wife and kid, got away scot-free, fam. Tell people the full story and then it will make sense, blood. Stop twisting the facts to fit your fucking narrative, bruv.
In the United States, a white man was murdered by multiple police officers. They sat on him, just like George Floyd, but they all sat on him for 13 minutes. He told them he was dying. Just 3 years ago. Now, when he died, they mocked him and made jokes about him while he lay there dead on the floor. Now, no one would have heard about that.
Again, bruv, that story's been all over the internet. And the scumbags who killed him deserve as much justice as the scumbags who killed George Floyd. The problem is, black people don't ever seem to get justice, while oftentimes the dirty piglets who murder white people get sent down, bruv. And that is why people keep saying Black Lives Matter, because to the system, black lives don't matter one bit. Stop being disingenuous, mate, otherwise I'm gonna have to keep making these fucking videos proving you all the way wrong.
This is being used for racial divides, this movement, okay? To cause racial division.
So people marching on the street saying, would you kindly stop killing black people and getting away with it scot-free, please, are causing racial divisions, but the EDL, who walk around talking about Islamic ray guns and throwing up Nazi salutes, are perfectly fine, yeah? Shut up, you knob.
Now, you wouldn't have heard of that white man, you wouldn't have heard of the white woman killed by the same police force by a black police officer.
So this is another tactic cult leaders often use. They repeat information which they know to be untrue to reinforce the idea in people's heads who know no better, thereby creating a brand new truth which isn't founded in reality. Both of those murders have made news all over the world, so let's stop talking about no one's heard about those murders there, yeah?
When I look at all of this, you are more likely to be killed in police custody in the United States if you're white.
Okay, so let's take a look at what Tommy said just there. What he said is that you're more likely to die in police custody if you're white than if you're black in America. What he actually means is more white people die every year in police custody than black people in America. But that's only because white people make up 72% of the population of the United States of America, which means obviously more of them are gonna die every year because there's more of them in general. But when you take a look at the actual proportionate death rate, black people are more than twice as likely to die in police custody than white people. And guess what? That statistic is true for the United Kingdom as well. You see how you can twist statistics to fit your little racist narrative, yeah? Don't try it, Tommy, bruv. And when we look at the rate of fatal police shootings in the United States, 30 black people die per million of the population versus 12 white people. So again, proportionately, you're more than twice as likely to die if you're black than if you're white and you're faced by a cop with a gun. Stop chatting shit, bruv.
Through the demographics than if you're black. Again, a fact. It's a fact. Okay? And that's a fact you don't like, but what I see is that Antifa and the media are building this narrative that there's this big racist movement and world out there of white supremacy and police forces just shooting black people dead. And it's not true. They want to keep them oppressed.
So which one is it, Tommy, mate? They're oppressed or they're not oppressed? You can't seem to make up your mind, can ya? Or perhaps you're just switching your viewpoint to fit your narrative. Nah, you wouldn't do that, would ya?
Yes, some black people have been treated terribly, but as have some white people. It's in 2020 in this country, in custody, I think it's, I'm going off the top, 160 white people have been killed in police custody. 13 black people, 10 migrants. Okay? Again, they're the numbers.
Okay, Tommy, let's look at them numbers and be accurate, shall we? In the past 10 years, 163 people have died in police custody in England and Wales. Of those 163 deaths, 140 of them were white, 13 were black, and 10 were from other minority groups. That means 8% of those deaths were black people. And when you consider that black people only make up 3% of the population of the UK, that means you're more than twice as likely to die in police custody if you're black and British than if you're white. And the numbers are even higher if you count the other ethnic minority groups in that figure. So basically you're being disingenuous again, aren't you, Tommy? So let me break it down for the thickos among us. For every white person that's arrested and for every black person that's arrested, the black person is twice as likely to die as the white person. Stop twisting the facts, you little racist pygmy.
You all feel like you're being oppressed because you all heard of Mark Duggan. You should have heard of Leon Briggs because he was murdered by Luton police and nothing was done about it. all right? He was a Luton lad, loved lad. And he was murdered by Luton police.
What, the same Leon Briggs that Black Lives Matter protesters have been talking about during these Black Lives Matter protests in London and that, yeah? Yeah, I'm pretty sure no one's heard of him despite the fact that multiple people have been holding up placards with his fucking name on, you silly cunt. Stop using dead people to further your agenda, you little prick.
The media are telling you that this is happening in everywhere, and it's murder, and it's oppression, and it's racism. The contrary's not given to white victims. We don't hear anything about them.
See, what Tommy's doing here is he's pretending he's addressing black people and saying, oh, you're not really oppressed, even though you're moaning about it. It doesn't really happen. But really what he's doing is addressing his own supporters and getting them riled up about the fact that white deaths are never reported on, despite the fact that they fucking are, as I've proven in this video, mate. His tactics are so bait when you know what you're looking for. I pity the people that fall for them, bro.
Okay? But you're being told this, you're being fed this, and it winds me up to see you used as well by Antifa, an extremist, far-left, fascist organisation.
Unlike the one that you've created, eh, Tommy? Throwing up fucking Nazi signs, fam. Yeah, they're not fascist at all, are they?
Now, I see Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, an icon to so many, stands up and gives a speech. In that speech, he says, we need to stop shopping in their businesses. White people. He's telling black people to stop shopping in white people's businesses. Stop giving them your money. It's racist. It's totally racist. It's a black supremacist speech.
Now I see where Tommy's going with this, but what he's not paying attention to is the fact that black people have never been given the opportunity to build their own industries or to claim positions of power within other industries. Therefore, what Anthony Joshua was getting at is that maybe it's time for the black community to empower themselves by building up black businesses, because no one else is gonna fucking do it, are they? He's not saying black people are superior to white people. What he's trying to say is it's time for black people to take control of their own destinies. But what the racists have done is they've taken this to mean Anthony Joshua don't like white people.
Now, none of my friends, and to my friend I'm addressing again from this morning, I saw you sharing Black Lives Matter. I saw you sharing everything. I didn't see you condemn this speech by Anthony Joshua. In fact, Sky News, all the media said it was a passionate speech. That's what they said about it. It was a passionate speech by Anthony Joshua. It was a racist speech by Anthony Joshua.
Only a racist would think that a black man saying that black people need to do better for themselves is an attack on white people. If you understand that black people as a whole are underprivileged in our society and they are criminally underrepresented in positions of power within our society, then what Anthony Joshua said makes perfect sense, bro. If you don't understand this fact, that means you're saying that black people deserve to be in the position they're in, which is beneath white people, because I'm sorry, mate, but the facts say that black people are less advantaged in our society than white people are. If you look at the statistics for CEOs within this country, black people are underrepresented. If you look at the statistics for upper management within our society, black people are underrepresented. Therefore, black people building their own industries is not a bad idea if they want to assume some kind of power. Unless, like I said before, you assume that black people should be in the position they're in, i.e. inferior, i.e. you think white people are superior, i.e. you're a white fucking supremacist, mate. Tommy, mate, you're making this too fucking easy, bro. If you really want to appear like you're not racist, I'd recommend writing a speech first and checking your points over and over before you start spouting your nonsense, fam.
Bearing in mind, he's got to where he's got because of, white people who have supported you, Anthony, that you don't want to give any money to their businesses, Anthony.
Oh, look at the disgust on his little porky pig face when he says Anthony. I fucking love a bit of crackling on my gammon, mate.
Now, all the black on black stabbings in London, do those kids not matter? The 14-year-olds being brought up in gangs because of culture of music and violence, do their lives not matter? Because there's no riots, there's no mass demonstrations, there's nothing.
Tommy, I think you'll find that there have been several demonstrations about the youth violence in London, mate. Of course their lives matter. And on that note, I just want to give a quick shout out to Lucy and Elaine from Operation Shutdown, who have organised several demonstrations in London about the youth violence. And it's not just black on black, it's just the fact that people tend to commit crimes to those people who surround them. And in these areas in London, the most impoverished areas, are where black people live, which further proves the point that society is incredibly unbalanced for black people in this country. And Also, I just want to add that this is the argument that racists always draw for. But what about black on black crime? Well, guess what? The majority of crime that happens in the United Kingdom and the United States is white on white crime. So shut your fucking little racist mouth, you little dickhead.
Right, okay. Black lives matter, but only when they're killed by a white person. It seems, yeah? That's what it seems like when you're watching it.
Only if you're a fucking thick cunt, Tommy.